Welcome back to another Reddit reaction, boys and gals, the series where I go on Reddit so that you don't have to. And today we're actually on the XDefiant Reddit for the first time. I have actually been on here myself, but in terms of videos, this is the first one on the XDefiant subreddit because it is meant to be launching this month. And I'm going to assume most of the talking points in the Reddit are going to be about that. So it's kind of like a mix of a Reddit reaction, but also just discussing, the game potentially launching this month. We don't know for sure, but it kind of takes something big for it to not launch this month. So without wasting any time, boys, let's set this to the top posts of this month and let's get stuck right into it. Now, the first one is to do with exactly that. 7 days ago, it says they are testing the servers. I'm not 100% sure what this screenshot is from. So it could be made up, it could be like photoshopped or whatever, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we'll probably get. I'm going to assume most of the other posts in the Reddit are about this sort of stuff. There's a lot of things pointing towards the launch being very soon. So I kind of tend to believe this, but yeah, I'm not too sure about the credibility of this. It seems as though there is some sort of alert system that's been set up to check when XDefiant is doing server tests and stuff like that. And it seems as though on Xbox, PS5 and PC, they were doing them as of February 21st, which obviously means it surely can't be too far away, sorry. And hopefully that is the case, but we're gonna have to wait and see. Now, I knew this would come up. I've seen this earlier in the week, kind of expected this to be the top post actually, but directly contradicting what I just said. Tom Henderson, who I'm sure a lot of you guys may know, he's essentially a leaker, but also a journalist in the gaming industry. A lot of what he says tends to be right. He says a lot of like exclusives and, insider scoops and stuff that oftentimes are correct, but not always. That's the key thing to keep in mind here. Now, someone has tweeted, I believe, this is on Twitter by the looks of it. Someone's tweeted saying you can now update XDefiant on PlayStation and open the game. Currently, you can't get past the main menu. Again, I'm not too sure how true that is because I don't know how someone's downloaded the game. It could be to do with the beta because I still have the beta installed on my Xbox, for example. So could be something to do with that, or it could be just completely made up, or just like it's just been a glitch or something and they've been able to download the app. It wouldn't be the full game. That's the thing that confuses me. But either way, this guy is saying that you can now update XDefiant on PlayStation. You just can't get past the main menu. So that's where this started. Tom Henderson then replied to that saying, don't expect to be playing it anytime soon. Now that is very confusing. This was only from 5 days ago. I did see the actual tweets on Twitter as well. That's kind of weird because the game is, by Ubisoft, pretty much confirmed to be launching before the end of March. So to be saying this and saying don't expect to play it anytime soon, it's kind of a weird thing to say. He then follows up by saying not canned, it's just in a bit of a rut, and I expect it to miss its late March release. Could be wrong though. Now that part right there could be wrong. I do feel as though he's actually wrong on this one. I saw on the actual tweets, someone kind of roasted him actually and said, it seems as though he's a little bit out of the loop when it comes to Ubisoft stuff. And I kind of tend to agree a little bit. I don't know that for a fact, but he said a few things about Star Wars Outlaws. If you guys didn't know, I cover Star Wars on my other channel, Sammy Boy Star Wars. And he said a few things about Outlaws that from some of the things that I know, or I shouldn't say I know, but I've heard through the people that I know in the industry, some of the things he's saying don't seem to add up. And so if that's true, and then this on top of that, it could point towards maybe his sources at Ubisoft are left. Maybe they're just not saying the correct information anymore. I'm not too sure, but it does seem as though maybe he isn't as in tune with Ubisoft as he thinks. I initially was concerned, but after reading the comment that, he's kind of been, or potentially wrong on a few things to do with Ubisoft, and it could just mean that his sources aren't at the company, or like I said, maybe they're just not telling him the correct information or something. Going to be an interesting month, and I think we'll come and revisit this either once the game launches or potentially in April, the start of April. If they haven't launched it, I'll probably come back and revisit this, and I'm sure he'll be tweeting about it again as well. So now follow up to that is another post here that says, Tom Henderson says that he's not going to reveal more info about XDefiant due to death threats. Now that is absolutely absurd to me. I understand being like annoyed, but sending a death threat over like a guy saying a game's not coming out, that's that's absurd. I'm not sure how people get to that, but anyway, he has replied. So someone asked about XDefiant because I think he often tweets saying like, what some games you want me to cover kind of thing. He replied to that saying, got enough death threats over that game that I'm going to wait until the end of March until I either A, get lots more death threats, or B, get some apologies. So that's kind of playing into what I just said before, that this month's going to be very interesting to watch, and he will no doubt like milk it. If it doesn't come in March, I'm certain he will roast everyone who is saying he was wrong. Now, this is another similar thing to the top post. And I've seen, not this exact post, but I've seen this on Twitter, that apparently, at least maybe in certain locations in the world, you can find the XDefiant X coins, which is just going to be the in-game currency, I'd assume, in the Xbox store. Now, I searched for this myself and couldn't find it. So I don't know if it's potentially fake. Like, this would be a pretty easy screenshot. Like, anyone could Photoshop that, but I've seen it by multiple people. Like, this isn't the one that I saw. It didn't look like it wasn't the same picture or anything. It was just the same thing that they were showing off, but I think it was like 1,000 coins and it was different. They've all kind of looked similar, so it doesn't seem fake to me, but again, it could be very easily Photoshopped. It could be one of those things where in certain countries it's just kind of like slipped through the cracks somehow, and I've seen stuff like this happen before, so it could definitely be legit. And if it is, I don't see why they'd be adding this like 6 months before launch, for example, so it has to again point towards the game launching pretty soon. Now, this is pretty much what I was talking about in terms of the fact that they have said it's meant to be launching in March. They released this as their fiscal year earnings report. It says January through March 2024, which is their fourth quarter. Kind of a weird time to have the fourth quarter, but anyway, that is their plans for what is coming out between those months. And as you can see down the bottom, XDefiant Season 0. It says from today's fiscal report, and this is 20 days ago. So yeah, this was in February, and we are now in March. So that kind of confirms, unless something goes wrong, the game should be launching in March, because it's obviously not launching in January or February. This is kind of what I was pointing at, where all of these other things, you know, the X coins and all that, it is pointing towards the game launching. And that is why the Tom Henderson stuff is very confusing, because even all of us who aren't insiders can see that they're clearly gearing up for launch, and they've said in their earnings report, which is an official thing from Ubisoft, that's not just some random has made that, that's literally from Ubisoft, it's meant to be launching in March. So I find it weird that Tom has said this, but then at the same time, maybe he just does legitimately have inside sources, and this was the start of Feb. Maybe something's gone wrong between now and then. It can happen. I don't think it will happen. I do think Tom Henderson will probably be wrong on this one, but yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see. It's all a very interesting discussion that pretty much everything on the Reddit right now is either the game's coming soon or no, it's not coming soon, and it's just flashing back between each of those. It's very interesting to watch this unfold. Now, finally, we do have, I guess, the final piece of the puzzle that I'll mention. We showed the Xbox store, and this is the Ubisoft Connect store. So this is like Steam, essentially their version of Steam. It's on the PC. This is the launcher for all of their games, and it seems as though they've updated the rewards for XDefiant. You can see it says coming soon. It's said that for months. I've got Ubisoft Connect on my PC, and it's just said coming soon for ages, pretty much since the freaking the beta back in like June or some shit of last year. So it's been coming soon for a while, but this was not all here, and this looks too real to have been faked. This could be photoshopped, and like that image, I could Photoshop that. That's just a vector. They've just painted a skin over it. I could do that, but it would take a long time. It would take a long time for anyone who's adept with Photoshop. So it could be faked. I just don't think anyone would bother. I believe I've seen different people screenshot it too. That's the other thing. So this all looks way too real to be faked. It's all very high quality. And if this is fake, like GG's to the person who Photoshopped this, because it looks beyond legitimate to me. But as you can see, they've got like a skin here. This is going to be, I'd imagine, the Ubisoft Plus reward. So obviously the game's free, but if you have Ubisoft Plus, that's like their version of Game Pass, I guess you would say. And I guess they're just going to give some rewards to the people who have that, because generally the reward is the game early, or technically like not free, but you get it. Same as Game Pass, you pay the subscription and then you get their games for free. But because this game is free, I guess they're doing these as rewards. So we've got some Battle Pass tier skips. We've got the Battle Pass booster, weapon XP booster, and then obviously the skin as well. So once again, they wouldn't be, if this is legit, they wouldn't be doing this like months and months before launch. It does seem as though everything is gearing up, hopefully ready. But like I said, the Tom Henderson stuff that I just went through throws a little bit of a spanner in the works for me. I don't necessarily believe him, but he's often right enough that I have to at least pay attention to it, if that makes sense. So it's going to be a big month ahead, and I'll definitely be keeping you guys updated. Any news we get, I'll be covering it here on the channel, and I will be essentially like committing to XDefiant content wise, plenty of guides and stuff like that once the game is actually here. So be sure to keep your eyes peeled for more XDefiant content. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.